So, back in United Stars of Andromeda, there was this big problem of all sorts of rich people that had companies and corporations, and they were all in competition with each other. But this competition turned into a war. And this all started when one of the rich billionaires started using sneaky tactics. And that billionaire was able to get labor for hardly anything. And nobody knew how they were doing it. And they were speculating that this billionaire was using some kind of slave labor or something like that, or that they had sweatshop factories, but others were thinking they were probably using AI robots, and that way they were able to produce all sorts of items and then sell them for hardly anything. So yeah, other billionaires started to get threatened by that because they weren't able to sell their items anymore, and they started looking for ways that they could compete against that billionaire. And finally, they figured out some loopholes. Like one of the billionaires figured out some of that AI technology, and they were able to replace a lot of their workers with all those AI robots. But that ended up putting other companies into the war because now their products weren't selling and they were making profit. So they had to find out solutions to their labor problems. So they ended up getting all sorts of undocumented immigrants to work for hardly anything. And that way, their products started selling again. But the problem was that with every billionaire that figured out a way to get around having to pay money for their labor, more and more people were going without jobs, and that was putting pressure on the governments to try to help those people. And that resulted in those corporations and rich people having to pay more taxes. So their whole scheme of trying to get away with not having to pay so much money for labor was kind of backfiring. So yeah, they had to go back to the drawing board to figure out what to do about these taxes so that they could get back to making all sorts of money.